Hora de terminar o caminho. O último a chegar é uma pessoa legal.
Nesse ritual, a glória é o final.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you guys. I'm so excited to talk to you today about the music of Agatha All Along. First of all, I was reading about the process of creating Let It Go, about how you were on a stroll and got up on picnic tables to really write the song. So how did you come up with the Ballad of the Witch's Road?
Well, it all began with Catherine Hahn and Agatha All Along from WandaVision. And then Jack Schaefer, who wrote the scripts for that, went on to become the showrunner of Agatha All Along. And she's got this amazing story brain. And she gave us this fantastic puzzle to write a song that could contain all of these layers, and that with each version that you could peel back, you discover a new origin or a new secret. So we started with the 70s ballad because that had to hold the most secrets. And it also had to be a hit song from the 70s that could also be a love song. So that had the most layers.
The most challenging. It had to work like that.
But in terms of like, were we on a stroll? No, I write in this big bed, and I had like 10 pieces of paper with all the information I had to incorporate and my laptop. And I was just constantly trying to calculate and mix it in to kind of a witch's brew.
But for the Sacred Chant, you were out and about.
Oh,
you
yes.
had an interesting
Oh,
story.
yes. For the Sacred Chant, I was on a college tour with my older daughter, and the numbers were too high, so they wouldn't let me go on the tour. But this particular college has sort of a sunken forest, and I was in their science center looking over this haunted sunken forest, and it was right around this time in October. It was really witchy, and yellow and orange leaves were falling down, and I was, consulting Wiccan texts as well as the script. And it did feel very witchy when I was writing the sacred version.
So you were in the perfect place to
Yes.
write it for inspiration.
You killed a small animal and offered it up to
Did not.
Kate.
I did not. Does Brazil get autumn? Do you get leaf changes so you guys know what that means?
Yes. I'm not sure if it's as witchy as it's probably in America, but I can imagine, I can picture it. And I was reading that director Jack Schaefer said that the ballad is the backbone of the whole show, and you were talking about how you incorporated all of this information into the song. Can you tell me how this song serves as a plot device for Agatha All Along?
Well, there's lots of different versions of it, and what I love about that is that there are not just different versions of it. There actually is a sort of a history to the song, and the mystery is really, where did the song come from? That's not really been addressed yet in the show. So there's a 70s, 60s version that that you just heard, and plot reveal of that is that Alice Wu's Gulliver's mother wrote this version as a protection spell to ward off this curse and protect her daughter. So that was, to me, that's a really moving idea. And we wrote the bridge of that song with all that in mind, that Lorna Wu wrote that bridge.
This version and this trial is healing something in Alion's character. Again, I do think that each version of this song is healing a character and helping them move forward in some way. So even coming together in the sacred version, you have all of these isolated witches all kind of stuck in isolation and in an episode of their lives that they can't seem to get out of. And they come together, and in this harmony and in this song, they bond and create a coven and move forward together. So I think that that's a huge part of the theme of what's going on in this in this entire series.
That's so beautiful. I was very moved by the 70s version. I wasn't expecting it at all, but I was like, oh.
It's fun to sing too. When we were doing the demo, I love all those 70s songs with great harmonies, where the music drops out and you just get those harmonies a cappella. It's a fun one to sing.
Yeah, and we had the pleasure and privilege of recording that one twice. Once with Catherine and Patti LuPone and the rest of the Coven, and the other time with Lorna Wu, who was played by Seung Tak. And we did 2 different bands, 2 different dates that we recorded them, and we mixed it and mastered it twice.
And since we're talking about these great actresses, how was it to work with this bunch of talented women, including Broadway legend Patti LuPone?
Oh, well, I'll start with Patti. I grew up obsessed with Evita. Like what I got to go for my maybe sixth grade birthday, and then I would listen to the record every single day and do my own one woman version of Evita in my closet with a Mr. Microphone. And one day when in my 20s, I camped out all day long on the 4th of July to see Patti LuPone sing on the White House lawn. Like I've just been a huge fan. So the fact that we got to finally work with her and have her sing our song was such a joy, and we've become friends since then. Like we knew she could also had these notes. So when she's like we knew she was gonna knock that out, and that was old Evita information. So we knew that she did that in Evita.
And Catherine Hahn is always so much fun to work with. She just blasts you with humor. She's so funny, and she has so much energy and talent and life force. It's like working with this kind of special magical creature. Everyone in that group was great, and not all of them were trained professional singers, and we were giving them very difficult harmonies and counterpoint, tricky singing stuff. Like by the time we did D23, they could sing it as a group live, and boy, was it inspiring, because it was almost like they became a coven. They became this group for real. And it felt like when they sang, and the intensity and of expression on their faces, like magic was going to actually happen in the room. It was very, very exciting. It made the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
I would never guess that they were like trained before watching D23, because I was watching it yesterday and I was like, they must be, musical theater kids, because it was so perfect.
They're great.
I think every one of them had done musicals growing up. Sashir certainly sang on SNL. Ali plays the piano and was a concert pianist.
Yeah, she really learned it.
Classical pianist. Patti is Patti. Catherine Hahn can do anything as long as her spirit wants to do it. Like she just created with her leadership too, this sense of like, we are all a coven right now. On the day that we recorded it in Atlanta, everyone picked a tarot card. I think it was the first time they had all been together in their costumes as well. And so it also felt like on the outside, like in a meta way, they were also in coming together and singing this. They were creating the bond that was going to walk the series, like filming the rest of the series together.
You might think that all these talented women, there'd be divas, there'd be ego, but there was just so much love and respect
and
between
sisterhood.
them. Yeah.
And sense of humor. I think that's the joy of it all. They all bring this joy and this game quality to everything they do.
Absolutely. I was thinking about how some people have a lot of prejudice against the musical numbers. Like once music comes up in a movie or a show, they're like, oh, not again. What would you say to these people? How can they enjoy more or roll along with a show with musical numbers like Agatha All Along?
I have a theory that a lot of why people are like, oh no, is because they've seen it done badly. It's a very hard thing to hand off from script to music. And runway, I always talk about it as a runway. It has to be a straight line and it has to feel seamless the way like when you take off with an airplane, that the music just gently lifts you into, and sometimes it's handled so badly that it feels like a horrible bump and then you're resisting it the whole time. So we work really hard to always pay attention to how you get into a song and how you get out of a song.
And no one's trying to make a bad musical. Everyone wants it to be great. The problem is it's hard to do. And when it's done badly, sometimes there's nothing worse. But when it's done well, I think there's very few things that are as delightful.
I used to grow up praying for the musical episodes of the Brady Bunch because like, that's what I thought God was for, to pray, to say, please, please let the episode where they win that plaque for their parents. Do you have the Brady Bunch in Brazil?
No, at least when I was
All right,
growing
so that
up, no.
means
But
nothing. That means nothing, but I used to pray for musical episodes because I loved it so much. But it has to be done correctly, and unfortunately, sometimes it's just not. Sometimes it's just clumsy. If you don't have people who have spent their careers trying to figure out how to make that lift seamless.
Right, and I have to wrap up, but I have a really quick question that you can answer really quickly. What makes a catchy song?
I think no one really knows the answer to that, but we pay very close attention to melody. We also pay very close attention to the counterpoint between the melody and the bass. I think that's and the overall shape of the melody.
I also think it needs to connect to a person, like what they're feeling, what they're thinking about. I think that a catchy song isn't about the fancy craft, but it's, are you speaking to something that the audience cares about?
Whoa.